coming to the next session, the Fireside Chat on Aatmanirbhar Bharat 3.0. And I would like to call upon stage our distinguished panelists for this session. Our first panelist, Dr. R.S. Sharma, former CEO NHA and former chairman TRAI. He has 40 plus years of experience and has led reforms and leveraged IT to simplify administrative processes, thus contributing to shaping India's policy in information communication technologies. As the founding director general and mission director of UIDAI, he helped formulate and launch Aadhaar, India's first and world's largest biometric identity system, and has authored a book, Making of Aadhaar, World's Largest Identity Platform, capturing his experiences. Welcome, Dr. R.S. Sharma. Our next panelist, Dr. Kumar Sivarajan, co-founder and CTO, Tejas Networks. Dr. Sivarajan has nearly 3 decades of experience in the field of telecommunication, fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering. In 2000, he received the Swarna Jayanti Fellowship from the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, which is awarded to outstanding young scientists to pursue basic research in frontier areas of science and technology. Our final panelist for this fireside this evening, Mayank Bidawatka, co-founder, Koo. Mayank is the co-founder of Koo and is a serial entrepreneur, and Koo is his 5th product. He was a part of the foundation team of Red Bus, which was world's largest bus ticketed platform. Post that, he co-founded the Media and Good Box and now runs Koo. He's a graduate from the Asian Institute of Management, Manila, was a banker at ICICI Bank before he started his entrepreneurial journey, also an angel investor. The fireside chat will be moderated by Pradeep Gupta, Chairman, CyberMedia Group. Over to you, PG, for the fireside chat.
So thank you very much. We come to the last session before the final set of awards. And what we will do is that we will keep this conversation, because we are running behind time, so we will try and keep this conversation very, very short. Aatmanirbhar Bharat is something that has been there since the last several years, and an attempt to bring indigenous skills in different kind of areas. Let me start off first by asking Dr. Sharma. You've been, as far as Aadhaar is concerned or CoWIN is concerned and the health stack is concerned, you have unraveled so many different kind of programs that have had a massive impact as far as the citizenry of this country is concerned. So, in terms of the software, the application, the implementation of that part of Aatmanirbharta is something which is very evident. What about the hardware sector? And that is what I just thought that I will ask you, that what do you think can be done in terms of, and especially telecom hardware? What can we do to bring more Aatmanirbharta there?
Well, thank you very much for that question. First of all, it looks long time back that I was the chairman in the TRAI, because thereafter CoWIN happened, thereafter the health stack happened. So I'm more familiar with the health stack. Let me limit myself to, speaking of technology per se. What has happened is that India has, since Aadhaar.
Sir, feel free to talk about the health stack or, the Aatmanirbharta in health sector as well.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that I'm really not up to date on the issue of, telecom sort of equipments, for example. What is their status of manufacturing? Of course, I'm familiar with the cellular phones, which are now we are exporting those phones, and I suppose 14 or 15 billion dollars worth of export is happening. So I'm aware about these developments. So Aatmanirbhar Bharat, to my mind, is not only the fact that we should be self-sufficient, we should also be able to, take care of the other, make in India for the world kind of situation which the Honorable Prime Minister has sort of espoused. But what I'm talking about is that the approach of developing digital artifacts in this country is a very, very unique approach, whether be it Aadhaar, whether it is the UPI, or for that matter, the the National Health Stack, which is the UHI, Unified Health Interface, or ONDC, for example, the Open Network for Digital Commerce, which is in the initial stages of development. But what I can say is that India has not only been Aatmanirbhar, but India has also has its own way of developing a democratic sort of architecture in all these sectors, which is interoperable, which is open standards, open API, scalable, and tremendously impactful and robust. Cowin is just one example. Cowin platform is now connected with about 150 applications at the front end. So basically, the way government of India has approached this issue is, we don't do all the application development. Application development at the end user applications will be developed by people, innovators, and startups and other things. We will develop frameworks around which people could plug and play and connect.
Just as UPI has done.
Just as UPI has done. That's the UHI.
And
now,
UHI.
Just wanted to tell you about UHI a little bit. This is basically, think of this situation that when a doctor and a patient talk on a teleconsultation. Now, currently the thinking is that the doctor will have the same application which the patient has. If doctor has 1 mg or Practo, the patient should also have the same app.
Right.
What if whatever teleconsultation application doctor may have and whatever teleconsultation application patient may have, what if they can talk? Similar to what we do in telecom. If I am a Voda customer, he is an Airtel customer, I can still talk to him. So the interconnectivity or interoperability, this is what makes UHI. And that UHI means you can search, you can book, you can pay, you can avail services, all completely interoperably. Now that will basically, really unleash the entire market, because then people will not have to build vertical solutions. Right. People can just build a part of the solution and still plug into the larger framework and still go about doing their business. That's the broad difference.
Thank you for that. Kumar, let's come to core technologies, because that is what you have been working on for the last several years now. What was that experience of developing core technology? Because India was not really known for developing core technologies.
Thank you. And I will also answer the question you posed to Dr. Sharma on hardware development in Aatmanirbhar. So software is very well known. Dr. Sharma talked about health sector, then financial sector we all use every day, and I'm sure Mayank is going to talk about social media. But we've been focusing on telecom products, which includes hardware and software. So, we were well known for optical products. Then with the encouragement from the government and in partnership with CDOT and TCS, with encouragement from BSNL, we were able to develop a 4G stack, which includes hardware and software. And I think that's been trialed, and I think other players are also there. More importantly, I think this is probably known in the telecom sectors, but DOT and MeitY had an initiative to get 5G hardware, software, everything done through a consortium of IITs, ISC. And that has resulted in demonstrations of 5G technology. Now I think there are startups doing 5G hardware, both base stations, mainly, infrastructure. Phones is a different ball game altogether, because you need to make the chipset, you can make the phone. So I think there are many initiatives in the country in telecom for 4G, 5G, the entire stack to come up, a telecom stack. And our inspiration is, of course, is the financial services and healthcare and other stacks that we want to emulate using hardware and software in telecom.
Wonderful. Mayank, let me come to you. And yes, switching gear from, healthcare and telecom now to a software-driven Aatmanirbhar example, which is the example of Coup. Great success as far as social media platforms are concerned. So what was that journey like? And how do you see it playing that entire role in the Aatmanirbhar Bharat program that we have? Because self-reliance is not just hardware, it is, of course, software as well.
I've always found the whole term Aatmanirbhar very insular in nature, and I think that our view has always been what Dr. Sharma just said, which is make in India, make for the world, and that's more interesting. Uh, as entrepreneurs, we've built multiple businesses in India for the urban Indian, and this time we wanted to do something that goes beyond just Indian users. Who is trying to target a very large population. You see that most of the global tech has built products that are globally relevant, but largely in English as an experience. And 85% of the world does not speak in English, and they speak thousands of other languages, and India is an example of that. We wanted to cater to this audience, be a lot more inclusive, and not become just another exclusive club. So most of the things that we did at Ku are with that lens. You'll now see what's happening, and it's becoming even more exclusive, even more difficult for people to have their voice out there with the $8 per month and things like that. So the whole experience has been very interesting. It's been driven with our passion to start a revolution of creating Indian consumer brands from India for the world. It's a very competitive landscape and very exciting times given the new owner there now.
That's wonderful. And I'll talk more about that in my second round with you. Kumar, back to you. You know, 6G, 5G, yes, we did work on that, but we did not really take the leadership role as far as 5G is concerned. Now, we are talking about 6G, next 6-7 years, whatever that is the time frame. Can we take a leadership role as far as that area is concerned? That is one question that I have. And in terms of foreign technology and higher value add in India, what is it that we can do in terms of achieving much higher value add? Because so far the value add is still perhaps low. Earlier session somebody had talked about so much of imports is still there. So how can we increase that value add also?
Sure.
So 6G and value add.
Yeah. So answer is sort of related to both questions, right? So 4G, we were not a player, okay, but we can catch up and make equipment. 5G, we were barely there. We were babies. We just got our foot in and got some improvements called 5GI, which will come up in release 17 or 18. And India took several steps in the 5G journey, including forming our own standards body, encouraging startups, encouraging academia. So we have now learned how to play the game in 5G, but we have not been able to play the game fully. So in 6G, with this in place, so there's a strong academia industry partnership initially in TSDSI. Now there's a Bharat 6G alliance set up to bring all the related parties together. So I would say we are forming a team so that we can generate intellectual property. We can own, first of all, we can set the requirements. So we're not building networks here based on somebody else's requirements. We can set the requirements. We can develop the intellectual property. We have the rights over it. And then we can have companies here design every aspect, both the infrastructure equipment and on the handset side, right, the chips and so on. So related to the intellectual property is the question of value add. So if you own the design, if you have the intellectual property, then you can value add much, much more than by just manufacturing equipment. So I think we have the formations in place, but we have to work over the next 5-6 years. And especially there will be a strong partnership needed 3 ways: government, industry, and academia, because a lot of the bright ideas come up in academia, but they can't take it forward to the finish where the industry is needed. The government sort of needs to play an enabling role, because it's a big boys game across the
so true, but that is really a golden opportunity for India looking ahead in the future. Mayank, back to you. You have formidable competition, right? Twitter is there, Facebook is there. And therefore, and you have been also now going international. So one part of Aatmanirbharta is self-reliance, but it is also that can we take Indian products global, right? So how do you see yourself coup competing against formidable players? And how do you see your international journey?
Yeah, I think that it's. I think very few people would have imagined an Indian company competing with global tech in the social space. We're very excited about doing something like that. It's a long journey. It's one of the most difficult products to create. One of the more difficult networks to crack. Unlike most tech products, these are 4-5 sided marketplaces. Unlike Airbnb, Uber, which are largely 2-sided marketplaces. Um, like I said, it's a journey. It takes its own time. You have to get the product right. You have to get the tech right. I think India has a lot of talent. We have the intent. Uh, where we have a great competitive edge in the sense that we have a very low cost structure compared to these companies which are spending a lot of money in creating the tech thanks to the high salaries engineers command abroad. So we're capable of creating very low cost tech and selling it to the world and earning dollars in ad revenues, and that funds back into our growth. Growth is something that we need to go country by country. We've designed a new model in which we want to grow through partnerships in various countries, and that helps us scale to multiple countries in the world in a very short span. We've grown in Brazil, the Brazil president to Dalai Lama to Ronaldinho to some of the most famous Brazilians are using Ku every day to connect with their users. I wouldn't have thought of this as a possibility 6 months back. So a lot of developments are happening, and I think the world is very, very skeptical about big tech, right? And what they want is transparency. Like if you look at everything that's happening with blockchain, why is Bitcoin price going up? Why is everyone talking about blockchain, right? Because the consumers become very, very skeptical about what is this guy doing with my data. So I think the next leg that's expected from whether it's big tech, whether it's anyone who's doing anything in the social space, is be transparent, be fair, create practices that I can see through and have more faith in you. So that's something that we'll build upon.
Right. And I'm glad that you've talked about data, because that brings me to my next question to you, sir. Dr. Sharma, there are so many new technologies which are now coming up. AI uh, is currently the talk of the town. And perhaps the next few years, the panel discussion will be probably moderated not by PG, but by an AI agent. Um, you know, we have robotics, we have AR, VR. A lot of these technologies are used in healthcare. You are now involved with the geospatial data. And as Mayank just now said, that data is so important. So, we have over the next 10, 15 years, there is going to be complete transformation taking place once again in each and every industry because of the new wave of technology and multiple technologies that are going to be impacting us. How do you see Atmanirbharta? And some of these technologies we do not have international examples as yet, and so on. So what is it that we can do to be more self-reliant in this very, very challenging and huge future opportunities that are going to open up because of these new technologies?
I think it's an extremely good question. The only problem with this question is that it will take a very, very long answer, because it's a very...
Please give a long answer.
No. What I'm saying is, I think as Mayank very rightly pointed out, India has huge amount of talent, right?
Absolutely.
That I think is goes without saying.
Written.
Now, today, India not only has talent, especially in the area of software and newer breeds of technologies, India also has a huge amount of confidence. Now, you see, the confidence and talent, we are now sure that what we are building is really world class. What we have built also, some of these things, digital identity, CoWIN, UPI, other things, they are really world class. They are not the only, tech which has been developed and I'm trying to show some experiment. They are extremely scalable. You know, when we did COVID, it is 1.4 billion, which is 1/6 of humanity. And that there are 2 billion, sort of more than 2 billion doses which are available on that platform. Immediately real-time download of the digital certificate of vaccination, and that currency of that certificate and validity of that certificate along 120 countries. In fact, if you recollect, there was some talk that some country had said that we have no problems with India's vaccine, but we have problem with the certificate. And then, we responded to them, friends, what is your level of encryption and other kinds of, robustness in that certificate, and what is ours? So once we have that confidence, and thirdly, India also has the fact that we have begun many areas on a clean slate. We don't really have many legacy systems. We are once you do something afresh, and once you do something with the highest technology stack available, and we have already created those stacks which are horizontal in nature. You see, there are certain things which are vertical, which can be used only for health, let's say health related stuff. But identity, payment, these are horizontal stuff. And that horizontal building blocks we have already made. And believe me, whether it is AI or machine learning or whatever other breeds of technologies, these building blocks will not become irrelevant because they are very, very foundational in nature. And having built those building blocks, it is now possible to build the entire architecture and structure around it. Just by having AI per se will not do the thing. For example, one of the very interesting use cases of AI, which I came across the other day, is that AI is extremely good in translation, right? So essentially what we are doing, there's a project called Bhashini, which is happening in IIT Bombay and IIT Madras. That project is essentially trying to translate any Indian language, first in English and then from English to that language. So basically, Indian language to English and English to that language. Once you do that, then automatically every language to every language via English is a possibility. Now, what you do, you train your domain onto the AI engine, chat GPT or whatever you want. You train that. Then suppose I ask my question, बताइए मैं आयुष्मान भारत के लिए एलिजिबल हूं कि नहीं, जैसे मैंने प्रश्न पूछा. Bhashini will translate that into English, and that English translation will go to that knowledge base, which is the AI engine of the chat powered by chat GPT or some other stuff. That will look at the, because it's already trained in that domain, so it will figure out as to what are the rules of becoming eligible for Ayushman Bharat. And it will basically give the reply. The Bhashini will translate that reply back into Hindi, and it will just display it. So when I said something, it got displayed on the computer, if I am talking to a computer, and then it got translated. Similarly, it will be displayed, and then it will be spoken to me. So even if I am an illiterate farmer, if I ask the question in Hindi, I will get a response in Hindi. By the same logic, if I talk in Kannada, the same route I'll get back in Kannada using Bhashini and AI. So I think what we are building is, we are building certain building blocks which can commonly solve large problems of multiple domains using these technologies. So I think, and we are such a diverse country that we will find out use cases. People were struggling to find out use cases of 5G, and we were always having those conferences. What is the use case of 5G? We will have 5G, but what is the use case? Where do we use it? And now you see that there are fixed wireless access is one of the use cases which is so relevant to our country.
Right.
So there are multiple things which will come up because we are such a diverse country. We have talent and we have confidence.
So, so I like that talent, confidence, and along with that, we prepare the building blocks. So, the ABC, the 1, 2, 3, the Sarega. And, if we have those building blocks in place, then whatever are the kind of technologies which are overriding on that, we can be self-reliant and we can be a global player in all those areas. Thank you very much, sir, for so succinctly sort of putting together the entire model of Aatmanirbharta. Thank you very much to my panel for really making this into a very, very interesting discussion on what we need to do as far as Aatmanirbharta is concerned. Thank you.